If you've played Knights of the Old Republic 2, you'll be familiar with the term Wound in the Force, as well as the characters of the Jedi Exile and Darth Nihilus. The two living wounds in the Force on opposite ends of the spectrum. The Exile, an empathetic Jedi who does her best to help people and change the galaxy for the better, and Darth Nihilus, a creature of pure hunger wanting to feed on the galaxy to stop his pain. And these two ended up as living wounds in the Force due to the fact that they both felt the colossal amount of death and suffering in the final battle of the Mandalorian Wars over at Malachor 5. With Nihilus eventually turning himself to the dark side because the pain of losing everyone was so strong, and the Exile cutting herself off from the Force entirely. But what actually is a wound in the Force? A wound in the Force occurs when there is a cataclysmic event of death within the Star Wars galaxy, and we've actually seen such occurrences within the Star Wars movies, primarily when Obi-Wan has to stop and have a minute in A New Hope because of Alderaan's destruction. The destruction of Alderaan is a wound in the Force. The Jedi Exile and Darth Nihilus, though, are special cases in that they are living wounds in the Force, which we'll get to later. Now, there's a character from KOTOR 2 who has been puzzling me over the last few months because of this whole wound in the Force thing, and that's the former apprentice of Darth Nihilus, Visas Marr. Visas was a Miraluka from the planet KOTOR, a planet full of Force sensitives and such, and it's the planet that Nihilus famously Force drained. He literally consumed every single thing connected to the Force. Not just the men, but the women and the children too. Every single living thing on KOTOR simply ceased to exist, except Visas. So Nihilus potentially willingly allowed her to survive and was captured by Nihilus to be his apprentice, and then we get her story in KOTOR 2. Which, by the way, is probably one of my favourite little side stories within KOTOR 2. I absolutely love her sort of story of coming to terms with what happened on KOTOR and things like that. It's really good. Now, Visas is Force sensitive, obviously, and she would have felt all the deaths around her simultaneously through the Force. But why isn't she a wound in the Force like her Sith Master and Jedi Master? She would have felt more destruction than Malachor 5 3 times over, so what gives? Well, there is a very key reason as to why the Exile became a living wound in the Force and Visas did not, and that is because of Force bonds. What the hell is a Force bond?
It is not an easy thing to explain. Surely you are familiar with Force bonds. It is the bond that develops between apprentice and master when one truly understands another. It is developed over time through understanding of each other. Yet you do it so easily, and we do not know why.
You make connections through the Force, and it resonates with those who travel with you. The resonance is even greater when they, too, are Force-sensitive.
Your actions affect others more than you know. You draw others to you, especially those strong in the Force.
When you suffer, their spirit echoes it. And when they are in pain, their pain becomes yours.
And that is why the Mandalorian Wars echo within you still.
We did not cut you off from the Force. You were merely deafened to it. Because of that last battle of the Mandalorian Wars.
The screams of countless thousands, Jedi and Mandalorians, crushed by the planet's gravity, annihilated.
Their lives still scream across the surface of that dead planet, and within you. To hear the Force over such pain, it is not possible. It was too much for any Jedi to endure, and it is a wonder that you did not die there when thousands perished, all those you had fought with and struggled with. You cut yourself off because you had to if you were to survive. You had hints of it in the war on Doxon. Malachor was simply the final blow.
Mitra and presumably Nihilus had strong bonds with all those people who died at Malachor 5, and they felt all those people die immediately. Visas, on the other hand, does not have this Force bond trait. I mean, sure, she 100% had loved ones on KOTOR, however, she more than likely didn't have the Force bonds with them, meaning she simply couldn't become a living wound in the Force. Mitra and Nihilus had the very presence of those people within them through the Force, and when they died, so did all the internalization of them, leading to a hole in the Force manifesting within Mitra and Nihilus. And as a result, they became dead spots in the Force. This is why Visas is not a wound in the Force. Sure, the destruction of KOTOR itself is probably one, but not a living wound like the Exile and Nihilus. It is simply due to the fact that Visas does not have the strong level of Force bonds that the other two characters have. And this is also why, for example, characters like Malak probably aren't wounds in the Force either. So this was actually a really fun video to do, and I've been wanting to do it for months and months at this point. There's so many videos that are in my backlog at the minute. I wrote a video on Force Unleashed 2 and just never filmed it. I was editing a video about Moff Gideon and just hated it, so I just scrapped it entirely. But this was one that I actually really enjoyed doing, mainly because it involved me not complaining about Star Wars, because believe it or not, it's way happier when you're a Star Wars fan that doesn't just complain. It's funny how that works. And of course, it was another opportunity to talk about Knights of the Old Republic, which I feel like I haven't really done for a while, or at least on this channel. Then again, I haven't really uploaded on this channel in, what, 7 months or something? I don't know. But yeah, if you enjoyed what you saw here today, be sure to force push that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know whenever I upload, whether it be in 7 days, 7 hours, or 7 months again. Sorry. But yeah, I do have other videos planned. When I'll get round to them, I don't know. But yeah, this was fun. I actually enjoyed talking about KOTOR again.